Selco, who will explain and elaborate on the Selco success story. Over to you, Sudhir.
Thank you. Hello. Yeah. So we'll have a social enterprise test right now because I'm the last speaker and just want to ensure that everyone is awake. So how many of you know Selco? Oh, that's quite a bit of people. So probably we need to have the lot outside who should come in who doesn't know about Selco. So I think the platform is set right now. Like we understand what is a social enterprise, what is sustainability. So I'll talk about how we have done it practically in Selco, how it was applied in Selco in a way. So we started in 1995. Okay, before that I would like to set the context of of Selco, like what is the problem statement here? In management we always like talk about problem statement and then look for solution, right? Instead of looking for solution first and then finding out the problem statement. So we are talking about a very vital need of the society, which is access to clean energy, access to clean, sustainable source of energy. And I think we know that energy is very closely linked to development. So if you have access to clean energy, uh, the development of this low income group happens very quickly. And there is a break-even point. Like one is not talking about having access to a lot of energy. It's about those that much of energy which breaks that below poverty to above poverty line kind of thing. So, so right now, across the globe, there are around 2.5 billion people who doesn't have access to clean energy. And what is the number in India? It is 400 million. So we are talking about one third of India, or rather 40% of India not having access to electricity. So these 400 million people, they don't have access to electricity. So they are not connected to the grid. And the interesting part is, if you look at the numbers for below poverty line, you look at the number who are not included in the mainstream financial institutions, the numbers look very similar. They are all around that 40%. So there is a very clear linkage between energy access, access to banking, to poverty. So in that context, Selco was started in 1995. I think many of you would know about Harish Ande. So Harish came back from US after his study and then started Selco in 1995. But Selco right now has grown a little bit. So we'll talk about the Selco family, which includes Selco Foundation, which was started in 2010, and then Selco Incubation, which is very relevant for today's discussion, which started in 2012. So, so Selco Solar Light Private Limited is the for-profit social enterprise. Other two are not for-profit entities. So why we did that? What we found was solar is a new technology, and application of solar, when Selco started, that was in 1995, solar was a new technology. It's still relatively new, and the application part of is very new. So there it required lot of innovation, lot of new ideas. And when you are talking of innovation, it is we are talking about creating an ecosystem. So moment you are creating an ecosystem, that cost should not be loaded on the operational cost of Selco Solar Light. So we have taken out the ecosystem part of it, and that we have put it under Selco Foundation. Okay, so that innovation which comes out of Selco Foundation is open to the world. Anybody can come and use that innovation. So that's the idea. So I think many of you, the previous speakers, will have already talked about what are the different elements of social enterprise. So those elements, I think we can now map it to what we are doing in Selco. So first of all, it's a non-donation based model. So it customer pays. We are giving a system to a person who earns 2,000 rupees a month, but she pays for the system. So how do you enable a person earning 2,000 rupees a month, or another person who sells vegetables in the market, he earns 20 rupees a day. So how do you enable a person who earns 20 rupees a day to pay for a system which starts from 8,000 rupees? How that happens? And then I think CK Prahlad has kind of uh, ruined our thoughts in the sense that he talks about this fortune at the bottom of the pyramid kind of statement, which effectively means that we are looking this segment as a market for material goods. But can we look at this segment at the bottom of the pyramid from the point of view of creating assets? Can we give something which lasts for 25 years? Because they're paying for it. They're paying 4 times, 5 times their monthly income for buying something, right? Can we create those assets? So that's what we are trying to do here. So another part is when you are talking about creating social enterprise, the entire ecosystem we have to think of, like who are the funders? Who are the funders for social enterprise? Can a mainstream funder who funds, let's say, who incubates Coca-Cola, can they also incubate Selco-like organization? No, because the return they are looking for is much higher in a much shorter time. So we need funders who will understand this sector, will understand this need, and then fund from a different point of view. So Selco's funders are Good Energies, Levinson Foundation, ECO and all, and so they are by nature they are not for profit. So advantage of it is whatever profit Selco earns, that comes back to the system. They don't take it back home. So it comes back to the system to expand Selco. Then, so now we have talked about the need, right? So once we have the need, we know that the energy access is the need. Then how do you come up with a solution? So most of the time, with people with, especially with engineering background like me, we all think that we have the solution and we start looking for the problem. And that itself is a problem. Okay, so what we are trying to do here is, when you go out and understand what the customer need, and based on the need, can you design a product and give it to them? So we are not talking about standardization. It's opposite of standardization. And that opposite needs to be standardized. So that's the idea. So we have a very strong team which kind of designs this product after getting input from the field. Then the another part of the ecosystem which I would like to emphasize here is, we all come from a very centralized grid point of view. Like everything here is right now in the society is centralized. So we create everything in a centralized system and then distribute it. And that loss and the cost of distribution is very high. So if you take up electricity, the electricity in Bangalore comes from, I think, from Udupi. The thermal power plant is located in Udupi. From there it is transmitted all the way through a grid which is 70% efficient, 30% is loss. So we are creating energy, generating energy from coal, which itself is efficiency is 30% or something like that, and that energy is transmitted to Bangalore, which is again 30%, 70% is the efficiency of that. So instead of that, can we decentralize the thing and generate energy where it is required? So we are talking of a society which is very decentralized, and in that decentralized framework, we need a very strong after-sale service, very strong, very quick quality after-sale service, especially for a system like solar. So in solar, what happens is technology is very stable, but there is one weak point in the technology. That is the battery. The battery we use, that's the regular battery that most people should use actually. That battery works if you service it like your car or bike battery, if you service it once in 6 months. And that servicing means what? Cleaning something and putting some distilled water, only that much. But that has to be done regularly. If it is not done, the system will stop working after a year or so. So we are creating this infrastructure where we can provide very quick after-sale service. How did we do that? So we have very unique structure of having 43, 45 branches across. Karnataka itself has 40 branches now of Selco. And these branches have people who are again recruited from the same community. And the last part, I think there are two objectives of Selco. One objective is to provide access to clean, sustainable source of energy. Other objective is to include these people who are from the underserved community, who are linked to the mainstream financial institutes. Now, how that is done? I was earlier saying that how do you enable a person who earns 2,000 rupees a month to afford a system like 8,000 rupees, whose cost is 8,000 rupees? That we do by connecting that person to the bank, to the RRBs, to the regional rural banks. And that also has other advantage because the bank also provides subsidy, which they get from the NABARD and MNRE. So these are the three ways by which we kind of reach out to these customers. So Selco is not a manufacturer. So we are one part of the ecosystem of this decentralized ecosystem. So we buy all the technology from the market, and then we try to come up with the solutions. Panel is there in the market, battery is there in the market, motor is there in the market, but how do we integrate all of them and apply that solution to, for example, a weaver, a handloom weaver? Can we, I'm not sure how much you should mechanize handloom, but if there is an option of mechanizing handloom, how much of it can be mechanized using that small source of energy? And so the other part is technology partner, financial partners are the banks, and of course the community partner with whom we work. So in Selco Foundation, what we try to do is we try to find out solutions for problem statements which originate from Selco India, primarily for Selco India, but it can also come from other similar players like Selco. And we look at it from different point of view, from a financial innovation point of view, from a product innovation point of view. And what we found is the needs of different communities are different. The need of a urban poor may be different from a need of a rural poor, or for that matter, a tribal community need can be different from a person who lives in a slum in Bangalore. So to look at the specific needs of those, we have defined the problem statement and given to different labs under Selco Foundation. So there are rural lab, urban lab, tribal lab, education, livelihood. Vulnerability is something which we want to look in the future. So now, what we found is the need is very huge. 400 million people who need this kind of solution. And Selco, with 20 years of experience, we have reached out to 2 lakh households. Okay, which is like 2 lakh households, and that too in Karnataka. So if you have to reach out to these 400 million people, we need more people, like more organizations like Selco. We need more people. And so what is our idea of scaling up? Do you want to scale up and have Selco in all the states, or do you want to replicate? So our idea of scaling up is replication. So what we are trying to do is, wherever Selco is not planning to go in the next, let's say, 5 years, like for example a northeastern state or Rajasthan or UP, can we have local entrepreneurs from there who understands the local need, who understands the local problem, and then they start an organization with the philosophy or the model of Selco. But we don't want them, or rather we don't wish them to go through the same learning curve of 20 years. Can we bring down the 20 years learning curve to, let's say, 2 years? So for that, we have started the Selco Incubation Center. So here we identify entrepreneurs in these kind of states, Northeast, MP, Odisha, Bengal, and try to train them, understand their need, try to connect them to all the entities in their local environment, and then try to help them set up business process. If they come up well, probably we'll try to help them get funding to start the organization. So there are a couple of success stories like Onergy and Boond and Mangal. They are quite well established now. They are all around 3-4 years old right now. So so they are all solar companies. But the idea here is it is not only about solar. Because we have little more expertise in solar, so it tend to become solar, but it can be any small business, or it can be any small business in renewable energy space. So very quickly about the work we do. So basically we are 80% of the work is in lighting, and we provide lighting for this kind of household, like very poor, 75% are farmers, individual household, 10 to 15% is even below that, and most of them are financed through rural banks. 75% of them are financed. And increasingly we are trying to figure out, like, now lighting need is more or less now it's met, and in a way the solution is known, solution is stable. So can we look for new solutions for which can be applied to livelihood? For example, can we help powering a sewing machine? And that is powering a sewing machine has both kind of impact. One, it can probably increase the earning potential. It can increase your livelihood potential. And also, if you have noticed, most of the tailoring shop in Bangalore, they use these motors to power their swing machine, and those motors are extremely inefficient. So there is nobody who is looking at that segment, how it can be made energy efficient and how it can be made affordable. So what are the technology needs for that segment? Can you look at that technology need, and then can you see if it can be powered using a clean source of energy like solar? So that's the idea here. The other point, when we start looking at a solution, we believe that we try to look at it from very holistic point of view. For example, we have a digital education project we just started this year. So here what we are trying to understand is what is the need of rural schools. Is the need, like, do they have proper infrastructure, proper teaching facility? Are the teachers trained enough to explain the ideas? Are they kind of connected to what is happening with the rest of the world? Can we take technology to these schools and see if it can be useful in certain contexts? So so we have started this project for digital education where we supply the latest technology. It comes with a projector which consumes only 20 watt, and that is powered through solar. And that projector is connected to an Android device like a phone like yours and mine, and that has a licensed content. And the content is designed based on the school syllabus. So it is not the top-down approach. We don't have a content first and then trying to fit it. Rather, we are trying to develop a content which is based on the state syllabus and then trying to give it to people. So that's the thing. And then many of the government ICT projects, if you go to any of the rural schools, you will find a huge infrastructure. There are 20, 30 computers with a battery backup, UPS, everything is just lying in a closed room. The reason is the teachers are not trained. They're not trained to use it. And they're also not been contextualized. It's not part of their day-to-day curriculum. It just lies there. It's a huge investment is just wasted there. So part of this project, we also train the teachers how to use it. So it's not enough to just talk about technology. It's not just enough to talk about energy. We have to talk about the entire solution to make an impact. So that's the point here. So these are some of the other innovations. So impact on livelihood, like for example, that one is a milk collection center of KMF. And so we have powered the weighing machine and the light up there using solar. And the one below there, whatever, the one below there, that's an energy center. By energy center, what we mean is that center produces energy, and that energy can be used for different purpose. For example, that one in Dharmasthala, it's just right outside the temple. That one is used for charging the mobile, and it also has a water purification plant. So the pilgrims, they leave their mobile there for charging, go pray in the temple, come back, collect their mobile, go out. So that's the usage of energy center. These are some of the other interventions we are trying to do. So that's the spread of Selco right now, either directly or indirectly. So the point, last thought I would like to leave here with everyone is social enterprise. It's not the by the way kind of enterprise. So the future has to be mainstream, has to be social enterprise. We cannot have organizations like XYZ, Coke, and that size Reliance, and then we'll say that we'll have organizations like Selco, Desi, and then we'll make an impact on the society. That's not going to happen. So if you really want to change the society, we need to have social enterprise of the size of Reliance, or rather that's not the idea, but those means social enterprise, we can make the impact what Reliance is making the impact on the entire society, either positively or negatively. So that's the size we have to look for. Thank you.
Thank you very much,